Good evening, Skype Flat Stories. Goeienaand, die Kaapse vlakte mense. Hope you guys are good. Hope you guys had an awesome weekend. Welcome, and we're going to have an awesome evening tonight. One of the reasons why we have this show on a Monday night, Corporate Politics Summit, is to bring the politicians to you. It's to bring the politicians to the Cape Flats and allowing our people to ask questions. So you guys are more than welcome to ask questions. We're going to talk to Geordin Hill Lewis, the mayoral candidate for the DA. A young man, but you can ask him questions, and I'm sure he will be able to defend himself. And I want you guys to be part of this conversation. I want you guys to walk away not feeling guilty or feel that you guys haven't asked the right questions, but I want you guys to be part of this conversation and ask the things that actually matters. So with me in the studio, I've got our gentlemen with us, Geordin Hill and Byron, and you guys are welcome to ask questions. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to the.
Hey Stan, hey Byron.
Hey guys, hope you're doing well. So today we're gonna go in for another session of who's gonna be Cape Town Mayor. I'm joking. Gordon, he says he's already the Cape Town Mayor, new elected.
Jokes aside. We'll win an election first, man.
There was an election first, yes.
So Gordon, a lot of people might not know, like I said to Neil also last week, there's another white guy on our page again on the Cape Flash Stories, and we like making jokes like that. Another white guy on your VSA. Who is he? They don't even go look in the DA. They just tick the box because they think, okay, it's going to help that vote. But just to reintroduce yourself, and a lot of people might not know how long you've been in politics, and they're trying probably to guess the age because all the politicians are so old. I don't know if they know the OBE system still. But yeah, you're fairly with the crew and fairly with the age. So just to reintroduce yourself.
Sure. Guys, thanks so much for the invitation. It's great to be with you. So my name is Geordin Hill Lewis. Most people, it's just like the River Jordan from the Bible, but most people, it's a funny spelling, as you can see on your screen there. So most people just call me GHL. And I'm from Edgemead. I'm sure most of your listeners will know Edgemead. It's a really cool suburb close to Milnerton and Goodwood, and I've lived here basically all my life. I was raised by a single mom. She's a nurse. She still is a nurse. She taught me most of my values, and I respect her and give a lot of credit and honor to her. And I got involved. I went to Edgemead High School. I still live in Edgemead. I'm right here in Edgemead right now doing this, and got involved in politics very young at Edgemead High School, and I've just been passionate about it ever since. Got very involved in student politics at UCT, went after UCT to work for Helen Ziller, had the privilege of working for her for many years in various jobs, but eventually as her chief of staff, which was an awesome job. And then ran for parliament after doing a couple of other things as well, and now have made myself available as the mayoral candidate for the DA. As I said, I still live here in Edgemead. My wife and daughter, I have one daughter, she's 6, and that's me, man. I'm just a Cape Town guy and love the city and want to see it succeed.
In a nutshell, Cape Townian boy, in a nutshell. But Gordon, just to get it kicked off starting, a lot of people will ask the questions, okay, as another candidate, we have someone from the DA, Dan Plateau, we have people that was there, all colors, all creeds, it does not matter. But people are still not satisfied. What can, just from your aspect, what change can a mayor do in Cape Town? What changes can he make? The power that he has, because every time when you go to the mayor, they said, "Well, the ANC hasn't funded us enough, the government hasn't funded us enough, or this is the stoppages why we can't do it." There's always the next thing is always the next person, the next person, the next person. But within your power as the mayor, if you become mayor, what are the changes that you would like to make? Because I know we have a lot of issues. We have load shedding. We have all these things that's stopping jobs and all those things. And there's a lot of critical issues that you would want to tackle. But mainly on us in the Cape Flats also, it's gangsterism, poverty. There's a lot of deep-rooted stuff in there. For yourself, what would you change as a Cape Town mayor, though?
Okay, awesome. Great question. So actually, that's a lot of the reason that I decided to stand for this job, because I feel like local government, particularly competent, well-run local governments like Cape Town is have the opportunity to do so much more to protect residents from the consequences of what we see happening in our country. Lots of us feel worried about the future of South Africa, and we see what's happening in the rest of the country, and we worry about the impacts on our own families. You've got two options. Essentially, you can say, well, there's nothing that we can do about it. It's national government's fault. Or you can say, actually, this place works. This is my home. I take this personally, and we are going to do what we can here to protect ourselves from those consequences of the failing state at a national level. And I'm so glad that you mentioned load shedding, because that's something that's very close to my heart. It is outrageous, Byron. It really should tick us all off that 15 years after load shedding started, we are still sitting with load shedding. Now, we cannot grow our economy. You cannot grow an economy without electricity. You can just forget it. So we can't grow our economy. We can't get people out of poverty. We can't get more people into work so long as we have this load shedding. And I think that all of the technology, all of the potential is there to protect Cape Town from more load shedding. Remember, we are the only city that already protects Cape Townians from level 1, but we can push it further to level 2, to level 3, even if we push really hard to level 4, so that load shedding is basically finished in Cape Town. And then we can really start to grow the economy and attract businesses here. Imagine if we could go to businesses all over the country and say, if you are gatful for load shedding in Brakpan or wherever it is in Durban, come to Cape Town, because here's the one place where we've at least got enough electricity for you to run your business. Then you talk about crime. I think that the DA government in the Western Cape has already got a great track record on helping to fight crime with our so-called LEAP program. I don't know if you've had Alan on the show, but you should have him or Albert Fritz to talk about the LEAP program, where we've taken 1,000 law enforcement officers. We've put them in all the hotspots around the city, and they've made a huge difference. They've brought violent crime down significantly in the areas where they're deployed. But obviously 1,000 is not enough. We're a city of nearly 5 million people now. This is a big global city. So we've got to invest more in that and take that program to a new level. And that, Byron, really is the change that I want to bring in a nutshell. We know that Cape Town already basically works, but what we need to do now is take it to a whole nother level where we can push the boundaries of what competent local governments can do in load shedding, in job creation, in economic growth, in safety, and really do a lot more for ourselves, because we have sat with these problems for long enough to know that no one else is going to do them for us. It's up to us. We are here. We've got the ability to do it. So come on, let's get on and do it.
It sounds all good from that side, and I think Stan will ask a question. Yasin Staghi asked a question at the bottom. He said, why do we pay more electricity under the DA-run municipality than any other part of South Africa? And that's his question. Like you said, it's well run and stuff like that. But if you could just answer Yasin's question on that side of it.
So remember that what a local government does is it takes electricity from Eskom. It buys electricity from Eskom at the same price as everyone else pays. It adds on a little bit to run the local grid, the street lights and the pylons and so on, and then it resells it to residents. So the huge portion of that price increase is the Eskom price increase. And if you look at what's happened to electricity prices in South Africa over the last 10 years, it is a sad story, Byron. And the question's just gone off screen, but whoever the gentleman who asked that question, Yasin, it's a sad story. The price increase for the last 10 years has been 430% from Eskom, 430% in 10 years. And we have no way of stopping that increase because we don't have our own source of power. And this is why I'm so passionate about getting off the Eskom grid over time. It's not just about ending load shedding. That's the most immediate benefit. But it's also about ending our connection, that chain link to the Eskom prices. You can break that chain link, and we can say, if we can get our own power, then over time we can charge our residents much, much less. The one thing that I must correct, Yassine, is that I study in my portfolio in Parliament right now. I look very closely at the electricity prices in all the major cities, because electricity prices are a major driver of investment. Obviously, businesses will not come where electricity is so expensive. And I can tell you that Nelson Mandela Bay, Port Elizabeth, has by far and away the most expensive electricity in South Africa. It's one of the most expensive in the world, actually. And there's a long battle there to get the electricity cheaper. Cape Town is not the most expensive place in the country, not by a long way. So he is wrong there. But he is right that we've got to bring the price down for people. And the only way that we're going to do that is by getting off of Eskom over time, so that we can get much cheaper electricity and then in turn pass that saving on to residents.
But just to break it down in layman's term for people, not to go into technical, because you've said you want to get off Eskom's grid and off their backing. Just to make people understand, do we have the technical capability to do it ourselves? The infrastructure, can we get it? How much is it going to cost? What is this going to cost the city in the end of the day to be able to do that themselves?
Great question. Yes, the answer is yes. This is where I get really passionate about this. Of course, we have got some of the most sunshine in the world, one of the windiest cities, as Wayne has just said on screen. We've got so much wind. It's crazy that we still have load shedding in 2021. And the only reason is because there's a piece of paper that the Minister of Energy refuses to sign that gives us permission to buy our power from other people. We're only allowed to buy it from Eskom. And I'm saying we've got to just get on and do it, because if the national government cannot even provide the basics of electricity, then we have a responsibility to provide that for our residents, to protect them from those consequences. So I want to get on and do it. And I'd love to see the national government try to stop us from delivering basic services to our people. I'd love to have that fight. I don't think that they will even try, to be honest, because what kind of argument is it to say you can't deliver basic services to your people? So in short, Byron, all of the technology is already there. We are way behind, probably 20 years behind the rest of the world in using renewable power. It's just about the political will to get it done.
That's a good answer. But before Stanley comes in, I think Stanley has a question on that side. I just wanted to know now, again, I always say layman's terms because I like to explain to people in simplistic terms what it means, where it comes from, not to test anyone's intellectual capability, but just to say that you've explained it so nicely now, saying, yeah, the wind power, we've got all the infrastructure, blah, 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 blah. But now you Cape Town Mayor, you become Cape Town Mayor. What power do you have to make that change? Do you really have power? Will there still be a lot of red tape? Will you just be shooting these ideas out? Because I want to be fair enough, and I'm not a big fan of any Cape Town Mayor that's been out there, I'm going to be honest. But they had a team behind them with great ideas, pushed it forward, been denied because of red tape or whatever it is. How can we get past that boundary? What will make you make a difference beyond that boundary to say, I'll get it approved. I'm sure I'll get it approved. Because you've got this idea, you know we can do it, but now push comes to shove, then nothing gets approved. We sit another 5 years down the line with a mayor, with promises, they say it's your promises, and then you fall brunt on it. You get the nail on the head because nothing is getting done, but people don't understand the red tape behind it. So how can we get around the red tape? That's the question.
It's a great question, Byron, because of course, I've spent time in government before, and I always say government is like trying to swim through a swimming pool full of peanut butter. It's very, very difficult. It's a lot of red tape, a lot of resistance to change. But I've got one thing going for me, man. I'm obsessed with this, and I'm like a dog with a bone. I'm not going to let it go. And I'm keen for the fight because I think it's important not just for Cape Town. I think this is an important point. It's not just important for Cape Town. It's important for our country to prove that if there is a failure to deliver a basic service and you have a level of government that is able to do it, then for goodness sake, let them do it. Let them get on with it. And the same should apply for policing and for trains and for so many other areas. Running the harbour, we've got the most expensive, least efficient harbour in the world. here in Cape Town because it's run by Transnet. Let someone who can actually do it, and grow the economy for our people. So I'm obsessed with this, man, and I think this is the most important fight to have for the future of South Africa at the moment, and I'm committed to having it.
Okay, Byron, you're on mute.
Byron, you're on mute, my friend.
Okay, he's on mute. Let me.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to say something, Byron?
No,
Not yet?
I just want before you. I thought you wanted to ask a question, but while I
Yeah.
have it in my mind, I just wanted to lead off the electricity part. I wanted to get that stabilized because the platform we're on Cape Flat Stories, and I just want to reiterate it also. And I'm not putting anything out there. I just wanted to know that a lot of these people sit anyway without electricity because they don't have money, they don't have jobs, they don't have water, they loss of life, and all those things. Those are the deep rooted stuff. So yes, in the end of the day, we're discussing this electricity. I'm not trying to be funny. We're discussing electricity and all these things. But to be fair, in the end of the day, on the Cape Flats, that's not even that's a luxury to some people.
Yeah.
Let's put it as such.
Yeah, but let me just say, Byron, you will never change that situation unless you can grow the economy. We have to be obsessed with growing the economy. That's the only way to get more people out of poverty, out of unemployment, and into jobs. And you cannot grow the economy unless you can get these basics right. There's no business that wants to invest in when there's so much violent crime, when there's no electricity, when there's no functioning public transport. Even the brilliant small business people that I've met the last few weeks around Cape Town, inspiring young business people. I was speaking to Stan about them, some of them the other night. Unbelievable young Cape Townians. But you must think to yourself, jeepers, you've got to be seriously brave to start a business in South Africa in 2021 with all of the hurdles that you have to jump over just to get your business to succeed. And we should see it as our job as government to make it easier for those people to get ahead, to make a success of their businesses, and to even start those businesses. Because without it, the situation you talk about, which you're absolutely right, it is a luxury for too many people. It's a luxury that too many people still do not enjoy. But we're never going to fix that unless we grow the economy. That has got to be our obsession.
Of course, yes. Stanley, you had a question there before I go on?
Yes. There's just something that somebody said there. I want to talk. You spoke about education, and I think on the Cape Flats that's quite a big problem. We are now 27 years later. You still have in certain areas there's one high school and there is one primary school, and yet you have more. There's more RDP houses built in those areas, so you have more people living in those areas, and some of the children can't go to school also because if you live in Block A, you can't go to, and the school is in Block B, you can't go to Block B because you are automatically being labeled as a Block A gangster. So that is also what is keeping our people away from school. So I want to ask you the question, are we looking at bringing more school buildings and more school facilities into the communities on the Cape Flats? Because I think that is one of our things is that education is not really easily available. You've mentioned Kuros. Kuros is doing well in Delft, but there is many more Delfts here on the Cape Flats, and we need more schools because how are we going to fight poverty if we don't give our youngsters the opportunity to go to school? I mean, a simple thing is in Pargoed. Those people from Pargoed, most of them were forcefully removed with the 1950s Group Act to Pargoed, and yet there's no library in that facility or in that area. So how are we going to fix the past and the current wrongdoings to the people on the Cape Flats?
Yeah, thanks, Stan. I just want to tell Byron and the viewers that story. I think it's a really important story. So recently I spent a day in Delft, going door to door in Delft South, actually. Very poor community, lots of social problems there. I'm walking around the corner, and there in front of me, I see this amazing, beautiful building, just perfect, every single piece of grass in place. And it's a Kuro school. And I think to myself, jeepers, but who kan het wees? Hoe is it moontlik? How do you get a Kuro school, which I know is quite an expensive school in such a community? So I decided, let me knock on the door and go inside and see for myself. And I end up meeting the headmaster who tells me about this miraculous school. They've been open for 18 months. They've got 800 kids, 97% payment record. No, essentially, no one misses a payment. They're delivering a service from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., teaching the kids exceptional education, plus sports, plus soccer, on AstroTurf, you name it. It's like a proper private school in an area where you think that would struggle, but it's succeeding. And that shows you the hunger that people have for a good education everywhere. And it's a fundamental injustice that so many people are stuck attending bad schools. And that just carries on the cycle of poverty in those communities. So the local government, the city of Cape Town, has got a very limited mandate, if any, on education. But I would love to see a day when we can help schools like that invest in more poor communities, so that we don't just have one in Delft South, but we have them all over Cape Town, poorer communities, because they are proving that you don't have to. It's not inevitable that you have a bad school in such a community. You can have a great school that delivers a brilliant education. You can actually lift people out of poverty. But and I'd love to see how Cape Town can help make those investments in communities, because we have this asset. We have land. We have land in all over the city, thousands of pieces of land. Some of them are not big enough. Probably many of them are not big enough. But I'd love to see how I can investigate making it easier for schools like that to establish.
And it's nice what you mentioned there, also, and it's a good thing that's happening in Delft. I'm quite familiar in Delft. I grew up in Berlin. But here's the thing for me. Curo is built in Delft. Phenomenal school. Looks phenomenal when you get in there. Now tell me, what is the difference? Because I've seen new schools being built. A year's time, it's damaged. 2 years' time, it's damaged. So we need to understand it's not just the infrastructure, but mentality needs
100%.
to change. Mentality needs to change. So you telling me now at Curo, it's a private school, I would assume. At Curo, these teachers go there. They are the best teachers teaching these kids. So we are saying we are taking lesser teachers at the public schools. We are taking teachers that don't care about the kids. Are we then saying those things when we say the private schools are better, the workers there are better, the janitors are better, all these things are better? Because in a workplace, when you don't have good morale, you don't have good work ethic, you don't have a good balance, that company is going to go down, which is happening with a lot of mismanagement with schools, companies, government, whatever's in this country. So how do we, as Cape Town, collectively change that? My point of view, basically, we need to start with mentality and make people feel that the other one is not more superior than the other one. Because with myself, luckily, I am, how can I say, I take more accountability for myself. And as people say, I'm hard-headed. So I went through racism. I went through the corporate field where the guy sings Kumbaya in the office, and I'm outside the office, and inside the office he treats you like a slave, and he does not let you climb a ladder. That's a lot of things that can affect you mentally. How do we implement that in workplaces and in schools so people can know I'm being protected? HRs, that's bullshit. They don't protect people anymore. Those nonsense are out of the door. They are for the companies. And how do we get that to protect people, though? So, because mentality is the biggest thing. If you're going to be put down every day, you're not going to work hard. If you're going to feel like this is not the amount of money I should get, you're not going to work hard. How do we change it?
Ooh, that's a big question there, Byron. But let me just zoom in on two words that you mentioned that I think are really important: accountability and mentality. So I think that we've all got to take more personal accountability for ensuring that our kids finish school, work hard, finish their homework, do their maths and languages. And I experienced this myself as a dad. My daughter gets home from school, and the easiest thing to do is just to watch TV. You've got to purposefully find the time as a parent to make sure that she is learning and getting ahead in her education. And then the mentality that's such an important one, that values excellent education and values getting involved in the local school and ensuring standards are high. And so we hear stories of when parents are invited to parent-teacher meetings at school, and no, not a single parent shows up. Now, we've got to just take education so seriously in our society and make sure that we are taking personal responsibility. If there is a bad school that's underperforming, what is our community doing about it to ensure that standards are met and uplifted? Because that is crippling our future if we don't fix that.
Okay, he's in mute again.
Maybe we can go to Patricia's question just to give them also some airtime to ask the question. Just want to be fair. I think Patricia asked.
Hi, Jordan. What is the city doing to develop local businesses and to develop skills for the youth?
Thank you very much, Patricia. So I visited some amazing projects this week, which last week rather, which blew me away. I think the city is doing quite a lot. I visited a furniture business a furniture incubator, it's called, which is situated in Nyanga, but where the city has provided a building and has provided a whole lot of high-tech furniture machinery, saws, and all of the machinery that you need to make really nice furniture. And the nice thing is that if you want to start a furniture business from anywhere in the city, you can come and use that facility for free and run your business out of there, so that you don't have to pay high rent and spend all of your little income on rent. And I met a guy there, for example, called James Issa. I'll never forget him. He is a probably 60-year-old man, maybe 55-year-old man, lost his job in COVID. He's from the Kensington area, I think he said. Yes, from Kensington area. Lost his job in COVID. He's the main breadwinner in his house, and he had no income whatsoever. But he knew that he could make some stuff with his hands. He is there every day making some very simple but very nice furniture and selling it on Facebook Marketplace. And he says that he cannot keep up. He's literally turning orders away because he can't make it fast enough. So his small little business is booming. And the city of Cape Town is helping him by providing him the equipment and the rent, the space rent free. That's one example that I went to. I went to a call center project where the city's training people that have never had jobs how to be call center agents, because many call center companies from around the world are investing in Cape Town because they see this as a city that is working, that is thriving. It's better than other cities in the country, and so call centers are coming here. But there's not enough trained call center workers that can actually go into those businesses. So the city's helping with that as well. On young people's skills, I think many of these projects are focused on young people as well. But one last exciting project. I visited a project that's called City. It's called the Cape Innovation and Technology Initiative, City. Governments are obsessed with these acronyms. But anyway, it's a program based in Woodstock that takes young kids fresh from high school and trains them on programming, on robotics, on how to write new apps, so that they can go into the tech and innovation industry, and they can be well trained. So I think there's a lot of those projects. They are very successful, and this is the place where they work best. But Patricia, I think what you're getting at in your question is, of course, there's more that we can do. And I'd like to see, particularly in the innovation space, we know that the jobs of the future are all in software and programming and online and social media. And that's where we've really got to expand our programs and train more young kids.
Just to ask the question that what is Salman asked, sorry, not the question, but he stated something. And these are the questions you're going to be asked, unfortunately, especially if you become Cape Town mayor. These are the things, and I'm going to be frank by it, and as being a white person in a city where there's a lot of colored people that's suffering on the Cape Flats, these are the questions going to be shot at you. Even Dan Plater got stuff shot at him also. Yeah, Morris said, how can you sit there and compare your daughter to a girl growing up in the ghetto, the Cape Flats? You are out of touch. You see, people's going to ask you these questions. Who are you to compare? And I want to be fair to everyone, because people must understand we had all colors as mayor in this city, and everybody did not work out. I would like to think that's just my personal opinion. But as if you become mayor, are you in touch with what's really happening in the Cape Flats? Can you be compassionate towards it? Do you understand it? Words is a wonderful thing. Saying I was in maybe Valhalla Park, Bonteville, Manenberg. I went through these towns. I've been sitting there speaking to people. But the main question will be, do you understand those people, their daily struggle, their way of life? You've been in politics for a while, so you had to connect with a lot of people and relate with a lot of people, because that's what politicians should do. So how do you answer that question?
Morris, let me address you directly, Morris. I think that's the picture of your own daughter there on your profile picture that came up. I believe that every father who has a young daughter in this city feels the same love for that daughter or son, feels the same hope and aspiration for that son or daughter, wants the same things for that son or daughter, regardless of whether you are white or black or colored or Muslim or Christian. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. There are many people who will tell you, Morris, that it is different. But I challenge you to tell me that your love for your daughter is any different to mine. It's not. I will tell you nonsense. I want this city to be a place where my daughter, here she is playing, can grow up feeling safe and hopeful for the future. And I think you want exactly the same thing. Whether you lose someone from COVID, is it different depending on where you live? If you lose someone to violence, to crime, does it feel any different depending on whether you're Muslim or Christian or black or white? Come on. Come on. Be better than that. We are South Africans. We want this place to work. We want our kids and our grandkids to grow up here. And that is what brings us together. That is what gives us human insight. It's got nothing to do with where you may have driven through, and everything to do with the fact that we experience love and pain the same way.
I felt that answer, as I'm a father also of two. Tonight, people will probably say I'm a DA member. Last week, they said I'm a UIM member. The other time, they said I'm a CCC member. So I just like to make people understand. I like to understand people and where they come from, because we're all human at the end of the day. This is why I don't go too deeply in depth with the political questions only, because politics is us. We the economy, us humans, us. We the economy in the end of the day. We're not alive. The economy does not exist. There's no economy. There's something needs to run it in the end of the day. So
Yes.
thank you for answering that question and answering it so fairly also, because people might think it's a scripted thing, but we don't script things beforehand and ask questions beforehand, because we would like authenticity and we'd like to give everybody, no matter what color you are, because we see color. We do see color. I see color. And no matter what color you are, we want to give you a fair chance to understand you. So just going back, and I think Stanley has a question, just going back, we have cultural differences. That's what we must understand. We have cultural differences in the city, especially, which makes us unique, which makes us a rainbow nation in the end of the day. But as that cultural differences differ, how do you feel you could connect with the people of Cape Town with so many cultural differences in them? How do you feel you could connect with them? You have to have spoken to different cultures and people before. Do you feel there's a sense that you could connect easily with people?
Oh, yes. I mean, this is the funnest part of my life at the moment. whether it be Kusistas in the Boerkaap or curry in Athlone, whatever it is. I mean, you can, as you can see, I quite enjoy my food, and Cape Town has the very best food of them all. But I love Cape Town's incredible diversity. There are so many amazing people. The Parker family in Salt River that runs a 5th generation corner cafe, an amazing business, a Muslim family that's been there for 5 generations. We've just got unbelievable people in the city, incredible cultural diversity that should be celebrated. And we mustn't give any attention or time to those who actually see that beautiful diversity as an opportunity to divide people against each other. Actually, this is the thing that makes Cape Town so great and the best place to live, and why this city has got to succeed. There's lots of leaders in South Africa right now, both locally and nationally, and we know who they are, we don't need to name them, who are deliberately, constantly trying to divide South Africa. And I think that our first responsibility as leaders is to govern for everyone, to bring people together, and to celebrate and connect with this incredible community that is Team Cape Town.
One question at the bottom that Henry Martin's asking, and it might be a vague question that he's asking also. Are you going to have more hockeys being put up in Delft that's already overpopulated? What's the control that you guys have as the Western Cape government? What control do you have over that, though? What power do you have over that?
Oh, the city of Cape Town has a lot of power over that, because that's planning power. But let me just say something that I think the questioner might find unpopular. But let me just tell you about an amazing young person that I met. Her name is Zama, and she lives in Delft, exactly where he lives. And she is helping her elderly mother to get off social grants, to get off the SASSA pension, and to actually make an income by renting out what he calls a hockey, or a backyard residence inside their property. And I'm not so sure that we should actually see that as a problem that must be stamped out. When Cape Town has such a massive housing crisis and people are desperate for affordable homes, and we can use that as a source of income for families. That's why they exist, by the way. They don't exist because people just like building hockeys. They exist because people need an income, and they see that as a source of income, and it is a good source of income. So I don't want to necessarily take that source of income away from people. When they're actually helping their families, they providing good incomes for their parents, and they are helping the city's housing crisis. So they're doing us all actually a win-win favor. Here's the thing that we've got to do. We've got to think about this differently and say, how do we improve the infrastructure there so that it doesn't cause sewage blockages, so that it doesn't cause roads to be clogged, that there's basic affordable and reliable public transport. That is the city's job. The city's job is not to say to you, Byron, you may not make an income from your property that you, by the way, own. The city's job is to say, if you want to make an income from your property, how do we support you in doing that by providing the infrastructure around your property to support that? That is actually the first job of a city. That is what cities should be doing. So I know that that's not going to be popular with your questioner, but that's my answer.
But I think mainly people are also concentrating on unowned land where people just shoot up hockeys as they want to, and the owner doesn't even know there's hockey. But I know this question will come. I know this question will come. They will say, if it happens in the affluent area, that hockey doesn't even go up the first second or the 5 minutes. It's down. And this is their grief, and they want and want to understand why is there so a quick reaction in the areas? Is it because they pay more tax? Is it because they put more into security facilities? They have more resources? Unfortunately, people need to know this, because I like to make people understand. I was asked this question by a friend or so, like, wow, they help people quick out on that side compared to what they do in Bella. Then I made him understand, well, they have extra security, they have extra tax they're paying, and all those things. It did not go well because I'm a guy from the Cape Flats. So how do you answer that question? Also, being mayor, do you go and tell them, unfortunately, we can only do it with the resources that we get in, and those people give out more resources? Is that the answer you give?
No, of course, no, definitely not. No, let me just say, in answer to your question, if someone invades a piece of public land, that's a very different story. That is tantamount to theft. I mean, you cannot just go and take a piece of property that does not belong to you, and that must be stopped. The DA is fighting very hard against land expropriation without compensation at a national level. And we must fight that at a local level as well. If someone takes a piece of land that doesn't belong to them, that is expropriation, basically. We've just put 180 million rand into beefing up our, what we call the anti-land invasion unit, which is basically cops, metro cops on standby to stop these kinds of land invasions. And I'm a huge supporter of that. And if we can, we must invest in that even more, because people's properties must be protected. And public land must be protected. It's there for public use. Often it's for housing projects, and those housing projects are now impossible because that land is invaded. So there, I totally agree.
I just have a question as well that I want to add to that. Something that bothers a lot of people. So you have Hamburg in Houtbay. So you are probably familiar what's happening there. So every few weeks, when somebody puts up a new structure, it gets taken away, and the whole of law enforcement is there to remove people, because I'm sometimes there as well. Just opposite the road, I think next to the Houtbay police station, there's also a big squatter camp there where people are setting up illegal structures, but nothing are being done there. So the people of Houtbay are feeling that, it is a racial thing where only colored people are being attacked. And it looked, the images that we see and the videos that we see looks like it's only in Houtbay. If you go to Sikwalo, people put up illegal structures, nothing is being done. If you go down Byron Powell has extended, from Khalitsa, it's now almost close to one of the other areas there. So why is it like it seems it's only being done to colored communities, especially Hamburg is a good example, every 3 weeks. And law enforcement don't have the decency. So parents are at work, parents are busy working, and law enforcement comes when the parents isn't at home, so the children are out there to defend their premises, and which I think is wrong. It puts a lot of trauma on our young people.
Maybe we could attach the question to it also, because Michelle Jordan asked, why is there not alternative sources for the homeless people making shacks on the roadside? There are many alternatives, i.e. municipal resorts. There's one in Belleville, one in Kales River, etc., etc. That's her question. Why is there not alternatives for these people? We are going to complain about them because we also want to live our lifestyle, but why is there not alternative made by the Western Cape government? I don't know if you can pop up that Michelle Jordan.
The City of Cape Town government. Yeah. Let me answer both of those questions, Stan. Look, those are hectic comments, and if with the support of your kind viewers, I become the mayor of Cape Town, I'd like to investigate that and come back to you and give you some answers on that, because I firmly believe that every person must be treated fairly. That we believe in equality before the law, so there can be no preference for or different treatment based on race. But I can't confirm what you are saying. It's your perception, and I hope that it isn't true. But I can't tell you that what you are saying is false. I need to go and have a look at that myself and come back to you. On the question on homeless people, yes, this is a matter that concerns us all, I'm sure. And I agree with you, Byron. I think that there should be alternative facilities. So I went to go and visit the City Safe Space facility in Belleville, which is I think the one that your Michelle was referring to, or you were referring to. And it's actually an amazing facility. It provides warmth and safety, a shower, toilet, hot meals. Homeless people can watch TV there, and they can only watch TV if they agree to attend some training courses on how to help them to get off the street and so on. So it's a great facility, but at the moment it only caters for 250 homeless people, and I think that we just have to face the facts that homelessness will continue to get worse because it is a consequence of an economy that is just really in the doldrums. It's not growing. And it's a consequence of major substance abuse and undiagnosed mental illness. All of these problems end up in homelessness. And what we've got to do is provide those alternative facilities. It might be quite expensive, but as you say, each person has a right to dignity. Each person, even if they are addicted to a substance or going through an extremely tough time in their life, they deserve to have a relatively warm and safe place to sleep at night. And no one should be on the street. And it's also, as you say correctly, bad for the rest of the community who wants to live in safety and live in a clean and hygienic environment without, some of the unhygienic consequences of homeless tent cities. So I think we've got to bite the bullet and we've got to provide those alternative facilities. And that's at first surely something that will be on the to-do list in week 1.
Before I ask my last couple of questions, because we're reaching the end of the show, I would think, just wanted to ask us, are you really prepared for the city? Are you prepared for their hate, for their love, for everything? Because remember, this is not an easy city to run, especially being a colored person. I'm very vocal. I stand very, I've been very passive tonight with asking my questions on certain things, because I would like to understand where you come from. But are you ready? Because as you can see the comments, there will be stuff like, you're just talking shit. Who are you? Where do you come from? You blush when you lie. There at the bottom. Pop up that. Those are the things you're going to face. Those are the things that Ramaphosa faced. Those are the things Helen Zille faced. Was called creature, the Zille, the stuff like that. This is things that impact your family, my friend. These are things that can impact you, your daughter, your family. Threats come. Those things come. Are you prepared in the end of the day to understand, I have taken a whole shuttle on myself and I'm going to try to make it poop and make it work? How do you understand the job that you're getting into is really risky? Because that's also what I want people to understand. You're putting yourself out there to take a risky job. I don't know if it's high paid. I don't care. I don't look up other people's salaries up because they're just going to make me sad. But just on the point of the job itself, I know you went in it as a fairly young age and you're passionate about it. But in the end of the day, are you ready to throw yourself in there? And I'm being funny by asking this. I'm not your leader or your supervisor, but are you ready to take the brunt of it out of the city?
And I just want to add also this can end your political career, because after this, people won't have faith in you. I mean, that's exactly what's going to happen to Dan Plato. People, we had several meetings with him, and he wasn't a people's person. What's her name? Patricia DeLille, disappointed her own people. So, like Byron says, it's a difficult job, but somebody has to do it.
Mm. So, look, it's a great question. It is a very difficult job, and I'm ready for the hate mail. I see some of it in the comments here already, but that doesn't stress me at all. I have a conviction in my heart. That's why I ran for this. South Africa, every one of us, I think, the huge majority of us, are deeply concerned about the direction of this country. We are asking, is this a good place for our families to grow up in safety and with opportunity to find work? Many of us are already experiencing that our kids cannot find work, or our parents sometimes cannot find work. So we are deeply concerned. So the question is, what do you do about it? You can throw up your hands and you can say, well, that's it. That's how South Africa is going. Niks om te doen nie. Not my problem. Or you can roll up your sleeves and say, I'm not going to let that happen in Cape Town. I'm going to fight for the residents of Cape Town to help to protect them from the consequences of the failing state at a national level, and try and grow this economy faster over time so that people can find work. I am passionate about that. I have a very strong belief about that. And I'm going to give it my best go. And you know what? Life is an amazing adventure. If it doesn't work out, I will absolutely be very comfortable to come back to this show in 5 years' time and say, I worked my butt off every day to get it done, and I tried my best. I'm totally cool with that. Whatever. That's absolutely fine. As long as you try your best, I'm comfortable. But I'm not going to sit back and say, well, this city, like the rest of the country, is going to slide one way, and those of us talking here this evening, listening here, well, we did nothing about it. I never want to look back and say that. That's the most embarrassing thing of all. So I would rather end my career having tried my absolute best to secure Cape Town's future than to look back on a comfortable career and say, well, you did nothing about what was happening in South Africa. That's embarrassing. So all of the hate messages, I take it on my shoulders like water off a duck's back. We've got some important work to do for our city and for our country, and I'm going to be there trying to do it.
So I just want to come in there quickly. Also, there's something that you mentioned that you want to make Cape Town number place, business place. In Africa, you want to make this one of the places where people can come and do business. Many years ago, we had the travel and tourism industry, which was quite big, and we also had a textile industry. So we have a lot of made in China, while our own people are unemployed. There's a lot of people with textile industrial skills. Mitchell's Plain, in Lavender Hill, wherever. And how can we reinstate, or how can we rebuild the textile industry? Because we have the skill, we have a lot of skill, and those people are available. That is something that you might want to look into, because I think if you can get that business going, you can get a lot of our people, back into the work industry again. And be honest, we need to get rid of made in China, because live in Cape Town is not making any money.
No, I mean, one of the programs that I visited last week was also a textile workers program. Visited an awesome City of Cape Town DA government-led program that helps textile businesses to grow, get better machinery, get better training for machine operators, and so on. And visited an amazing project where 1,200 new machinist jobs are going to be created in Cape Town, doing textile manufacturing, clothing manufacturing, mainly for Truworths. And that's an awesome project that's been delivered here because, and the investors tell us openly, they are coming here because it's stable. They see what's happening in KZN and they know that's not going to happen here. It's stable. They have a supportive city government. They have a supportive provincial government that backs investors and they know are trying to grow the economy. And so they're coming here. And the other thing they say is they know that there are so many skills out there in the Cape Town community in textiles that unfortunately are struggling to find work now because of the collapse of that industry over the last decade or so, as you say. So they know that they can find skilled workers here, and that's great for their business. So we've got to bring more businesses like that to invest here and make it as easy as possible for them to invest here. That's why my obsession is jobs, jobs, jobs. I want to make this the best place to invest and grow businesses anywhere so that our Capetonian people can get more jobs. That's the whole purpose of everything. And that's the plan that I've set out. When I talk about load shedding, it's about jobs. When I talk about crime, it's about the safety of our communities, and so that people are safe in work and safe in investing here. When I talk about public transport, the same thing. It's not just about being the best. Yes, it's nice to be the best. We know that Cape Town is the best. It's about getting work for our people. And all of those haters that moan about this and that. I can see Morris still banging away there on his drum in the comment section. You know what? I hear no plans. I just hear moaning. Here is a plan on the table to get jobs to Cape Town, and I'd like to see theirs. There isn't one.
You just brought something alight that I wanted to speak about. And before we go and before we end the show, and Stanley might keep us another 50 minutes, I'm joking. But before we end the show, you see what the biggest problem, my opinion, again, I like to say my opinion because people think I'm affiliated to someone when I don't use the word my opinion. In my opinion, the problem we have in this country, we still vote based on race. And I'm going to be frank tonight. No, I'm going to tell you what I see. If you look in the comment section, people are saying we need colored people in there. You see, the biggest problem is when you start making statements like that. That's not a solution, first of all. When you say who needs to be in there, and by using a facial recognition or not the person and understanding the person, and you might differ from what you're saying, but this is my opinion. Again, I'm going to say, in the Western Cape, we've been marginalized so much. We would rather vote DA than ANC because we are scared of what we don't know, rather the person we know. Even if it was the abuser in the past, to a lot of people, they still vote. Like a lot of parents still voted NP in 1994, if believe it or not, people still voted that. But this is the deep rooted mentality that's been going on in this country. Now, my thing is that I want people to understand, when you do vote and you cast your vote for anybody, be it for you, be it for the guy Neil, be it for whoever is in parliament that wants to run, understand the person's background. First of all, negotiation skills. You talk about making this the business hub. Do you have the negotiation skills? Do you have the contacts, the business contacts? That's the first key in business. And that's how we're going to surpass that. Also, do you have the emotional intelligence, how to handle people, to deal with people's emotions when they come to you, to understand you? That's another key factor that needs to be imprinted into someone that's leading us. So these are the mismanaging that happens in companies, in schools. I go back to what I'm saying. And these are the things that need to be corrected first. Before I vote for a candidate, I want to know his whole CV and his background. And that, my friend, why people call me stupid, because I've never voted in my life as a young guy, because I'm in tune with politics. And I'm in tune. And I'll say it each week so people can get angry at me and be rude comments and stuff. It's because I understand that that person going in there is not ready for himself even. How do I vote someone into place just for the sake of giving the next party an opposition vote? And that's my standpoint where I stand with that.
No, I look, there's some parts of what you've said that I agree with strongly, and some parts that I disagree with strongly. Let me say that I totally agree with Jesse Randallhoff that it is about competence. We've tried the same stuff for 27 years in this country, and it is not working. More people are getting unemployed. The economy is not growing. Look what's happening in the country. Dis net agteruitgang. So we've got to try something radically different. And the thing that we've got to try radically different is to stop this racial preferencing in everything that we do and get to core competence. Who's going to get the job done? Who's got the plan to get the job done for our people and for our country? So there, Byron, I do disagree with you. But where I strongly agree with you is that, of course, people must make the decision based on ideas and on plans and on track record, not based on superficial things like the color of their skin or something that you don't like about them or whatever the case is. Do your homework. Make your decision in an informed way. I absolutely agree with you there. We need informed citizens, not people who just make superficial comments and decisions. And we need citizens who are going to make decisions based on who can get the job done and who's got the plan to do more for Cape Town. And I think that's the DA.
Love that. I don't know if Stanley has his last saying before we end off. But like I said, Hitler had a dream and he kept someone in between. So that's what I say always when I like to end it off. And I'm not trying to be funny. That's the truth about politics and about power. I wish you all the best, man. And I wish that what you set out to do, you can accomplish it. I would like to see everybody succeed no matter who they are. Because when you have a philosophy in life and you believe in something and you don't stray away from it, I believe you can accomplish it. So I wish you all the best. It does not mean I'm going to vote for you. It does not mean I'm standing by your side. It just means that I want to see this city succeed. I want to see this country succeed. I want to see this world succeed in the end of the day. Because we are losing lives. We are losing people. And yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say. Stanley, if you wanted to end off.
I think we just lost him now or so. But yeah, I just want to say, it is going to be a tough one. It is going to be a tough one. Welcome back, Jordan. We just lost it enough. It's going to be a tough one, but I want to speak on behalf of our people. I don't know who's going to win. I'm not a politician, but I have a passion for my people. I know what's happening on the Cape Flats. A lot of people are saying we're doing this and they're doing that. When the 27th is done, you don't see them again, you know. And I'm gonna keep it to your word. I will come to your office, and I want you to not forget about the people on the Cape Flats. We've been disappointed by many mayors of the DA. If you do get into power, we are struggling. Our people are dying. I don't know who's going to win the elections. Every week we do speak with different people, myself and Byron, and it's difficult to believe because we've been lied to for the last 27 years. So politicians need to understand that we're not easily going to trust. But this is what I want to say. If you do get into power, if you do become a mayor or the mayor of Cape Town, there's a lot of work to be done on the Cape Flats. We need schools, we need jobs, we need security. Our people are dying. Every minute somebody dies on the Cape Flats. We need drug rehabilitation centers. There's a lot of things. So what I want to ask you, if you do get into power, don't forget about our people. My mother is still going to vote DA. My father's still going to vote DA because that is just how they are. They still believe that the DA can do things. I'm still finding myself. So I'm speaking on behalf of those ones as well. To look back, when after the 27, just to come back and to invest back into our communities. If there's anything else you want to say, you are welcome to do so.
Well, I've really enjoyed this discussion. I love robust discussions and I love the tough questions. I like being held accountable. I'm not a politician that's going to hide away from tough questions or hide away from accountability. I'm setting out a clear plan for Cape Town, and I expect nothing less than to be held accountable to that plan. And that should be the role of every politician, and it should be the role of an active citizenry and civil society as well. So thank you for the chat, and let me just repeat, it is my firm belief that we can secure Cape Town's future, protect residents from the consequences of what is happening nationally, and make this city truly the best place to live in the country and one of the best places in the world. But to do so, I ask for your support in the upcoming election. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jordan. Thank you for joining us. Byron, do you have any last words?
No. I'm comfortable. I'm just enjoying the comments of everybody. I like to understand people. People are screaming debate. Give a topic, and then we can propose it for someone to debate. Even debate it with me. Doesn't matter. You can't debate someone if there's not a topic. Like you said in the beginning, give a solution, topic, then debate. Then you can find a solution. You can't just debate. You're gonna scull about infrastructure, about this. This was a general discussion tonight. So yeah, we care about the color people. This is why we do the show on the Cape Flats.
Yes.
This is why we have random people on the Cape Flats, different government people coming on, no matter what color they are, but they affect us. So this is what we try to bring to you. So try to bring a solution for us also, so we can help building together, because we can't do it without you in the end of the day. And so if he comes into government, into power, so to say, as a Cape Town mayor, he also can't do it without you. So we can't just shout. We need to give solutions also. That's my standpoint.
Thank you so much. I'm going to end now. Thank you very much, Jordan. Thank you so much, Byron. I think it was a good one. We're going to do it again. So thank you for your time and take care, gents. Let's do this one quickly. There we go. That was Geordin Hill Lewis and my good friend Byron. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. The reason for the show or the platform is to talk about things. So last week we had on the UAM. Before that we had on the PA, and we had the CCC. I'm not sure where Morris was, but we had the CCC on here. And I have sent a message to Fadil as well. He hasn't checked it's on my phone. Fadil hasn't checked my messages, so maybe if Fadil check my messages, you will see I've sent him an invite. So, it's nothing about having a debate, but when we do have a debate, must have solutions as well. It's no use in saying we're going to do this and that. At the end of the day, nothing happens. So we need to make things work. We need to make things happen. That time for speaking, daar is verby. Ons mense gaan dood, ons mense is honger, daar is die weekie, en nou beklei ons gaan 'n bietjie doen. Let's just do it, come back to me and we can have a chat. Morris, let Fadil answer me on my number, and then we can have a chat. But thank you so much everybody for joining us, and take care of yourself. Politics maak my eintlik 'n bietjie kwaad, maar ja, lekker aan.